Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca Keppel and I'm here for the Cardmaker magazine blog today. I'm here with my card making technique, which is to use the new Distress Oxide inks by Tim Holtz for Ranger to create a blended background and then stamp over it. Use the Distress sprayer to create a very pretty watercolor effect. So I'm going to use the primary colors here because I'm going to stamp in the blue over the pink and yellow background. If I did it over orange, it might kind of turn out brownish, and I didn't want that. I wanted really bright colors. So I'm using the mini foam blender, and I'm just going to come in from the top there, and you can see how easy it is to blend with these new Distress Oxide inks. They have both a pigment and dye quality to them. They blend really creamy like a pigment, but they dry really quickly like a dye. But they stay wet long enough that you can do some really pretty blending between colors. So I'm going to try and keep the colors mostly separate, but you'll see in the little spot where they overlap, you get beautiful blending effects. And then when you add the water to it, it really plays with the qualities of these inks that allow them to react with water in a really fun way, and wait until you see. So now I'm going to bring some pink into those open spots. This cardstock that I have is smooth, Bristol smooth cardstock. It's pretty heavy duty. It stands up to the water that I'm going to put on it. You could definitely use watercolor cardstock for this, especially because I do tend to add a lot of water droplets on top. I probably should have used watercolor cardstock, but this actually did just fine. So I'm going back in with a little bit of the yellow, just making sure I have some blending going on and no white spots. And you can see that I'm using a scratch piece of cardstock to hold it because otherwise I get fingerprints all over the place. I'm awful at that. So now I'm going to move these to the side, and now I'm going to use this 6x6 large background stamp from My Favorite Things, and I'm going to ink it up with the blue Distress Oxide ink. It's absolutely beautiful. Wait until you see it. You can see it laying on the stamp because it does have that pigment quality. With the dye inks, they're more translucent. They don't lay on the top of the stamp like that as much, so you can't see whether or not the stamp is covered with ink as well. With these Distress Oxide inks, you absolutely can. And I'm just going along making sure especially that the middle is covered because I wanted those roses on the cardstock. So now I'm going to take my panel and lay it down, and then just take a piece of paper and smooth along the whole panel there. Make sure that everything is being imprinted with the stamp. And this is, I think, the easiest way to do these background stamps. And then I'm just going to flip it over, and look at that. It's absolutely beautiful. So on the pink, you get a little bit of blending to make it purple, and on the yellow, you get a little bit of blending to make it green. Now I'm going to come in with my sprayer. I love this distress sprayer. I keep water in it all the time. And you can see there I'm coming in with the heat tool, and you can watch and see as the ink and the water start to react, and you get what is sort of like an oxidation. So I'm going to just get a little bit closer there for you, and you can see those white spots where some of the color is pulling away because of the water. It's just such a pretty effect. And then on the larger droplets, I'm using a paper towel to dab away, and then look at that. You can still see the pattern of the stamp, but you get those beautiful white effects from these new inks. I absolutely love them. They're so much fun to play with, and they create really, really beautiful card backgrounds like here. So I decided I really liked the look of those droplets, so I'm going in, adding some more, dabbing with the paper towel, and then heat setting the whole thing so that I can use this right away on a card front. And once I do this and kind of heat set it a little bit, the inks are dry too, so they won't smear if you use a heat tool on it like this. So just a few more droplets. If you go far away from the panel and get those little tiny droplets, if you go closer in, you have a little more control, but you get the bigger droplets. And there we go. I think that panel is pretty much ready to go. So I cut the panel down to 4 inches by 5.5, and now I'm cutting a pattern paper 4.25 by 5.5 inch piece of pattern paper to lay over the card base, and then I'm gonna push the panel all the way over to the right hand side just so that there's a little strip of that pattern paper showing. I really love the way the plaid kind of interacts with the floral there. I die cut a sentiment from Lawn Fawn in silver foil. I decided I wanted a lot of dimension on this, so I'm using some mixed media adhesive, and I also die cut the same sentiment from Fun Foam. So I'm going to put the mixed media adhesive from Thermoweb right on the Fun Foam, and then I'm going to layer the foil die cut right on top. And so I get this foil die cut that's very, very dimensional because of the Fun Foam. I'm just going to set this aside to dry, and then I'm going to work on the little dot there. And I struggle with these tiny little dots. I probably should have just put something else on there, but I really liked the look of the silver against those really pretty creamy colors in the background there. So once I got everything adhered, now I'm going to put some mixed media adhesive on the back of the die cut, and this will adhere it to my card panel. And I have a different nozzle on that adhesive there. I use the Scrap Perfect adhesive nozzle because I really like a fine tip like this when you're adhering a very delicate die cut. For the dot, I'm just going to put the adhesive right on the card. You can see that even though I do that, I still struggle with it a bit, but I finally get it down, and there you go. That is the finished card. So I hope you will give these inks and this technique a try for your card backgrounds. This is ink blending and stamping, all with Distress Oxide inks. Thanks so much for stopping by.